In this video I'm going to review these ultra cheap pedals. First, a bit of background. A few months ago I damaged my right ankle, which made using my preferred SPD pedals impossible. I decided to put some flat pedals on my specialised Turbo Vadu. When I put them on, I was expecting to go back to the SPDs pretty quickly. However, for certain riding situations, particularly when they're fitted with these half toe clips, I found that these flat pedals were preferable to the SPDs. You can see a video about that in the top right hand corner. The problem with the pedals I was using, they were plastic, was in the wet they got a bit slippery. So I wanted to get some other pedals that would be a bit less slippery. Searching AliExpress, I particularly wanted some pedals that I could fit those half toe clips to, so the normal platform pedals with spikes on weren't going to cut it for me. Eventually I found these. They cost me just £7, and as you can see they were supplied in very basic packaging. After ordering, they took about a week to arrive. So these are the pedals. I wanted a platform pedal that I could fit those half toe clips to, and these ones come with these reflectors. I'll probably leave the one reflector on, but I can take the other off to expose a couple of holes that will allow me to put those half toe clips onto, or the whole platform part of the pedal, including the spindle support, is cast out of a single piece of aluminium alloy. Within here are some cartridge bearings. The quality of this looks, well, it's not the highest quality as you might expect for £7. The axle is obviously steel, it's chrome plated. Again, the finish is not the best. It's okay for the price. An important thing is how good are the bearings. Well, when I rotate this by hand, this is actually quite stiff. However, it might be stiff, but it actually turns quite smoothly. So I'm thinking that the stiffness is due to the seals. As I said, this turns quite stiffly, and one of the things I'm going to do is try and loosen it up with an electric drill. Run the drill for a while to see whether this all loosens up. Okay, I've been running that for a little while and it's loosened up a little bit. You know, the pedal won't rotate on its own. So I think I may have to use these on the bike in order to loosen them up. And it'll be interesting to see how long that takes. Okay then, I'll take these pedals, I'll fit the toe clips to them, put them on the bike and see how well they work in practice. I've also just tried the thread in the crank and it fits perfectly. So I've put those ultra cheap pedals on my bike and I've fitted these half toe clips, which help quite a lot. I've been using these for about 200 kilometers now, both in the wet and dry. So they've had a bit of a workout. On examining these now, if I go in close, I don't know if you can see, that pedal is wobbling around. Now I think that's partly because the bearings in here are not your normal ball bearings. They're actually just plain bearings. In addition, if you look closely there, you can also see that the seal has popped out of the end of the pedal. So that has ruined the waterproofing of the pedal. On the positive side though, pedal has freed up a little bit. Also, if you look on the axle, you can see that it's started to rust. Right, let's carry on with the ride. The first issue is pulling off, and I need to flip the pedal over, and there's no issue with that whatsoever. They flip over just nicely. Secondly, I need to get my foot in the right position, and these half toe clips really help in that respect. The bearings in the pedals feel very smooth and there's no sign of that stiffness of the pedal axle. The main reason I moved away from those plastic pedals was that they were slippery in the wet, and it's wet today, so that allows me to give these pedals a good test. Are they better than those plastic pedals? Well, in general, I would say yes. They're a little bit less slippery. It's not a huge amount. However, I can get around that to some extent by just moving my foot into the correct position on the pedal, and then the tread on my cycling shoe aligns with the cage of the pedal. and therefore sort of locks it into position. It's not locked in like you would on an SPD, but it does make it more secure. Now, whether that would work for you or not will obviously depend on your shoes. For me, I find it useful. It's time to summarise what I think about these pedals. Now, their headline feature is they were very cheap, and because they only cost £7, I do feel as though I need to cut them some slack. Despite being cheap though, in the 400 or so kilometres that I've been using them, they've actually worked quite flawlessly. The trouble is, despite them working well, I can't bring myself to overlook those build quality issues. So ultimately, can I bring myself to recommend these pedals? That is not straightforward. I think if you ride only a few hundred kilometres each year in dry weather and your budget is very constrained, then these pedals will probably suit you. But I suspect most of you, like me, ride much longer distances each year, and reliability is much more important. So for me, despite these pedals being very cheap, they're not good value. That's because I don't think I can rely on them. Despite that, I'm going to carry on using these for a while and see how they stand up to the punishment. But to be honest, I'm not really expecting them to last more than a few months. You can tell me what you think about these pedals in the comment section. And while you're there, leave me an emoji cake, because I love cake and emoji cakes are calorie free. However, if you don't think I'm quite fat enough, then there's a buy me a coffee link in the description. I do tend to buy a lot of items from AliExpress, and that's because I quite often get good value. And I get that good value not by going for the cheapest of the cheap, but by looking for items that I think are made well, but are sold at a reasonable price. And that's not necessarily the cheapest. And in that way, most of the items that I've got from AliExpress, I say most, have exceeded my expectations in terms of their quality and durability and performance. However, as far as buying these pedals are concerned, I broke that rule and I went for the cheapest that I could find, partly just to find out what would I get. So maybe I've wasted £7, or maybe I've carried out a £7 experiment. Whichever way it goes, I think I'm going to have to look for some more robust, better quality pedals, and for that I'm going to have to pay extra. If you found this video useful, then consider subscribing and also give it a thumbs up and all that crazy stuff. So from me until the next video, it's goodbye.